Well, I searched all over YouTube and the internet, and honestly, I couldn't believe no one's made a complete list of every reversal technique in Jujutsu Kaisen. Kinda crazy, right? But don't worry, I've got you covered. I decided to take matters into my own hands and rank them all for you. But before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on all post notifications so you never miss a daily upload. Alright, let's get into it. So what exactly is Curse Technique Reversal? Well, it's like a super advanced version of cursed energy manipulation, something only the strongest sorcerers can pull off. It's kind of like reverse curse technique, where you need positive energy to heal, but with this, you're flipping the script on your usual attacks. Basically, you take a regular curse technique, pump some positive energy into it, and boom, it works in reverse. Sounds wild, right? But barely anyone can do this. It's even rarer than using reverse curse technique. How does cursed technique reversal work in fights? Well, with reverse curse techniques, you just create positive energy to heal yourself. But for curse technique reversal, you're using that positive energy and applying it to your curse technique to flip it. Only a few top-tier sorcerers have done this, like Gojo and Kenjaku. Starting with our ranking, the first technique on the list is Curse Technique Reversal, Red. This technique is a twist on the Limitless, fueled by positive energy from reverse curse technique instead of the usual negative cursed energy. Essentially, it flips the effect of Limitless on its head, creating a strong repelling force instead of pulling things in. When you see it in action, Red appears as a bright red orb that releases a massive shockwave when fired, pushing everything away. The power output from Red is at least double that of the boosted Limitless technique called Lapse, Blue. Now, even though it sounds cool, mastering Red isn't easy, especially for those who inherit Limitless. Even Satoru Gojo, the prodigy of the sorcerer world, struggled with it. Gojo had a rough start. He didn't get the hang of reverse cursed technique until he nearly died facing Toji Fushiguro. That experience led him to discover how to channel positive energy into his Limitless, allowing him to unleash Red in a rematch with Toji. The result? A powerful wave that sent Toji flying? After that pivotal moment, Gojo refined his control over Limitless, enabling him to use Red without wearing himself out. When he was feeling a bit cranky during the night parade of 100 demons, he took out a giant cursed spirit with a single shot of Red. He even showed off its strength against Jogo, proving just how much stronger he is. During his epic showdown with Sukuna, Gojo didn't hold back, using Red up close after recovering from exhaustion. The blast sent Sukuna crashing into a shrine and did some serious damage. Gojo's mastery over Red became apparent when he faced Maharaga, preparing to take it down in one shot before it could break his domain. Gojo also demonstrated incredible control by delaying Red's explosion, tricking Sukuna into thinking he'd only use blue while Maharaga adapted. This strategy allowed Red to surprise Sukuna from behind, landing a solid hit before Gojo followed up with Black Flash. Next up on our list is the anti-gravity system. This technique originally belongs to Kaori Itadori, but Kenjaku took it over when he possessed her body. The cool part? He can still use it even in Suguru Geto's body. Although Kenjaku usually keeps this ability under wraps and prefers to use Geto's cursed spirit manipulation in fights. He had to show it off when Choso caught him off guard with supernova attacks coming from all directions. When Choso unleashed those projectiles, Kenjaku activated the anti-gravity system to increase the gravity around him, causing Choso's attacks to crash down to the ground. This tactic gave him a solid advantage. Kenjaku later showcased this technique openly during his battle with Yuki and Choso. After recharging his curse techniques from expanding his domain, he used gravity to counter a coordinated attack from both Choso and Yuki's Shikigami, Garuda. He slammed them down, almost taking Choso out of the fight completely. Yuki started to figure out how the anti-gravity system worked after seeing Kenjaku use it repeatedly. But Kenjaku had tricks up his sleeve. He mixed curse manipulation with gravity to land a decisive hit on her. In a dramatic twist, Kenjaku even used the anti-gravity system to survive when Yuki turned herself into a black hole. By using the technique in a unique way, he sidestepped the usual limitations on unstable outputs and activation time, essentially turning his body into a domain. It's a clever and intense display of how powerful this technique can be? Okay, so we've wrapped up the ranking of official reversal curse techniques. And guess what? There are only 2. I get it, you're probably a bit disappointed that the list is so short, but don't worry, we can dive into the fun part now. Thinking up some hypothetical reversal curse techniques. And first up, I think I've got a pretty good idea of what Sukuna's reversal curse technique could be. Sukuna's reversal of dismantle and cleave would be pretty wild, considering how terrifying the original techniques are. Normally, his dismantle and cleave are all about slicing and dicing. Dismantle cuts through anything with cursed energy, while cleave adjusts its sharpness based on how tough or powerful the target is. Now, if Sukuna were to reverse these techniques, things would get even more interesting. Imagine this. Instead of shredding things apart, the reversal would allow Sukuna to mend things. He could restore what was destroyed, piecing objects or even people back together. It's almost like he could reverse damage, healing injuries or broken structures. But knowing Sukuna, he probably wouldn't use this to be kind. Think about it, he could play with his enemies, fixing them just enough so they can suffer longer in battle. It's basically healing them just to mess with them or keep them in a constant loop of pain and recovery. It's also possible he could use this on himself. Say he's been injured, he could patch himself up instantly by reversing the damage with a simple thought. Since it's cursed energy-based, it wouldn't be like regular healing. Sukuna would have full control over what gets restored and how, allowing him to keep fighting without missing a beat. What makes this so twisted is how it flips the purpose of the technique. Instead of raw destruction, this is about control. Sukuna could decide what stays broken and what gets fixed. But honestly, I doubt he'd use it for anything other than torturing people or keeping himself in peak condition. It's the type of move that's terrifying not because it kills, but because it makes the pain last. Next up, Todo's Boogie Woogie. Imagine Todo's Boogie Woogie but with a twist. Normally, his ability lets him switch places with someone or swap 2 objects just by clapping his hands. It's quick and can really mess with an opponent's sense of positioning in a fight. But if we flip that ability in a reversal curse technique, it could work the opposite way, by locking people or objects in place instead of swapping them. So, when Todo claps his hands, instead of changing locations, he could freeze someone exactly where they are, making it impossible for them to move. If an enemy is coming at him full speed or throwing a punch, Todo could clap, and they'd be stuck mid-action, unable to move for a few seconds. This would be insanely useful in battle. He could trap multiple enemies by clapping, temporarily locking them in place, and giving him enough time to counter or strategize. The cool thing about this reversal technique is that it could work defensively, giving Todo control over his opponent's movements without needing to rely on switching. It wouldn't be overpowered either, since the effect would likely be temporary. Plus, there could be limitations like range, or how long someone stays locked. Still, this reversal would change the way Todo fights completely, from messing with positioning to locking down his enemies altogether.